The stream is about to start. We'll talk about code or whatever we'll talk about today. It's about to start, so please hang tight while I check that everything is okay. Sound check, camera check, lights check. How's my hair? Oh, wait, I don't have any hair. Maybe put some pants on and I am good to go. So get ready wherever you are, 'cause the stream is about to start. Get ready wherever you are, 'cause the stream is about to start. Hello everyone and welcome to another meeting of the C++ Digital Signal Processing JUCE and plenty of other things study group. How are you all doing? Bo, Cwits, and hopefully Fotis will be hopping back on the call soon. How are you all doing?
Well, you first, Cwits.
Did you manage to do any C++ or digital signal processing or JUCE or some related topic these 2 weeks, or I guess 4 weeks?
Yeah,
it has been a while.
I've been doing a lot of C#, but that's classified. But I've signed an NDA for that. So that's what I've been doing.
How are you liking C#, both as a language and as a platform in general? Because it's not only a language, right? It's also an IDE, an ecosystem, an API, a whole sort of things.
It's completely new to me, so I'm tearing what little hair I have left out.
Do you find it easy to learn in the sense that you find lots of material and documentation is good, or are you struggling to get by?
I'm struggling. It's an uphill struggle, and I don't find the documentation to be very helpful, and it's. I'm not going to disclose the name of the ecosystem. It's not Microsoft, but it's quite bureaucratic and abstract. So I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I've got some things up and running, but not all. So.
Oh, you're still working on like getting the whole development setup working?
No, I'm building an application that's supposed to perform an AI task. So I've managed to compile.
That's in some projects a big step.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get from like I know nothing to this project compiles?
That was, I think, the first time it compiled fine. Like I think that was on the first try, but then I tried to hook it up to different. So it's a part of an ecosystem. Some of it is in Python, some of it is in C#, and some of it and there's like JSON talking to that, and there's registers, and then this dependent. So. Getting it to compile the first time was relatively easy. I think that was like 2 weeks, and now I'm sort of every time I hook something else up, it just breaks. Well.
So you are able to compile the project, but not necessarily run it because there are all these other dependencies?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I see. Well, what's the next step? Are you installing a Python environment and learning about PIP or PIP? I don't know how people call this, and learning about all these other ecosystems as well? Or do they have something like a Docker image that you spin up?
The whole rest of the company is in C sharp, and the most of the documentation is geared towards Python. So I'm thinking of doing something in Python and making it communicate with C sharp.
Oh, you
It
have the
might be
freedom to
easy.
choose the language.
I'm not sure. I need to check that with the boss, but I think it's going to say no.
And do you think that Python would be less bureaucratic or perhaps easier to learn?
And the documentation seems a lot better. That's the thing. I think it's like they made the Python thingy first, and then they sort of translated parts of it to other languages.
I see. Do you think that the knowledge you're picking up about Visual Studio is going to help you out in C++? Because it's the same IDE, the same buttons, it's just a different profile, I guess.
Yeah, that's the big upside. Learning Visual Studio. Thus far, I've only dabbled in it and banged my head against the wall. So the big upside is that I'm going to be able to use all this knowledge with Visual Studio for other projects. And there's this other project that's in C, that's in this really weird C language that I'm working on. There's no deadline for that, but so that's another thing. Downside of that is my personal laptop is just crammed with ginormous software now. I think I've installed like 40 gigs in the past couple of 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is like a big sample library right there. Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
A couple of them, actually, yeah.
I wish there was
my
more
side story.
material about the ecosystem and the IDEs, because when people are teaching like C++, they, for instance, when they're teaching C++ in macOS, they tend to use Xcode. On Windows, they tend to use Visual Studio. And there are so many settings and workflows and just jargon, like what is a workspace and what is a project? And some of these things may seem obvious to people who use these IDEs and have used them for their whole lives, but I find it very confusing. I always end up just getting someone else's project and fiddling with it instead of like really understanding what's going on. And I don't like that feeling. I prefer to understand, like I prefer like a command line workflow where I can see all the parts being put together. It rubs me the wrong way. I wish there was some sort of kind of course or tutorial, not focusing on the languages, but focusing on the tools.
Yep. Like you said, there's a lot of different names. Is it called nomenclature? The names for things in projects or sort of work environments. So it's a lot of new names that I'm not used to. Just names for stuff.
Yeah, and I have spent a lot of time at this point just menu diving and trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
It is not immediately obvious. You have to know. Well, I guess you can just use the approach of like take someone else's project and hope nothing goes wrong and you just follow along, and if nothing breaks, awesome. But if you really want to understand things, you have to sort of know the underlying tools, because the abstractions are kind of transparent. So you have to understand the compiler, the linker. You have to understand all these tools. And on top of that, you have to understand whatever user interface Apple and Microsoft came up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of these huge IDEs. I have tried to like them. Since the days when I was working in Java and using Eclipse, I tried to like these things. Not my cup of tea.
What Java in what?
I was using Java, and back in the day, the most popular IDE for Java was Eclipse. These days,
all right. Yeah.
I think that most people are using IntelliJ, and I find IntelliJ just slightly better. It is slightly more intuitive, but even then, I prefer ecosystems that tend to favor command line things. And I admit that setting things up is not necessarily easier because you have the paradox of choice, too many options, like the language that I use the most, JavaScript. There are thousands of ways of doing any single thing, and you pick the best one today and tomorrow it's no longer the best one. So it's complicated. It's a trade-off. But I prefer to live on this side.
JavaScript is a mess in that sense. There's constantly new ways of doing it, and it sort of gets unhip to use a certain thing in a web application or on a web page. Like 6 months later, it said, "Now you're supposed to do it this way."
True, and I love living in this mess.
Oh, good. Well,
yeah. All right.
Yeah, enough of me.
But do you find that like C# as a language, do you like working on it, and do you see similarities between C# and C++?
Well, some of the structure is similar, but I don't know if it's my brain or what it is, but I prefer C or C++. Thus far, maybe I'll get used to it. I'm still dipping my toes in it, so...
Yeah, well, that is true. Once you get used to something, you tend to like it more.
It's kind of a backwards, sort of an odd dialect of C++ in a sense.
Fair enough. And there are some fundamental differences, like the garbage collector in C#. That is a fundamental difference.
I think it's... never mind. Go on. Enough of me, enough of my harping.
All right. And let me say hello. I guess I can put them up on the screen because I was looking at this on the phone. Hello, Tail, and hello, John, and Nod was one. It's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Hey. Hey, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Cwits, why don't you go next?
Sorry, guys, there is just a couple things appeared suddenly, and I'm trying to manage them right now. But to be short, I started to soldering things together and program microcontroller IC together, and it looks funny, but going slowly.
Are you soldering like on a proto board, or are you soldering? Did you like design a custom PCB and you're soldering like a more serious prototype?
If you will be patient, I will try to take a photo and show you.
Awesome.
Like it is not any of those things that you mentioned. It is like bunch of PCBs lying around and connected with wires. Yeah, it not so professional way, I think.
It's called prototyping.
Yeah. Where is my drive? But it seems like things working, but I'm trying to be more careful this time, and this is the reason why I'm going slower, because previous time when I was trying to put everything together, I've burned 70 euros expensive microcontroller.
Ouch.
Yikes.
That things happen, so nothing bad. Of course, I don't know why they burned, why it burned, but yeah, it was fun.
Oh, God.
These microcontrollers tend to have all sorts of fault tolerance mechanisms and things built in. Like, it's relatively difficult to burn an Arduino. So perhaps you were using something more, in a way, professional and
because it is more expensive, but also with less protections or fewer protections. I never know if these things are countable. Anyway.
I'm not sure that STM ICs have less protections than Arduino and than ARM ICs. I assume that okay, I have broken board where is ADC and DAC soldered already. It is like Audient ID14 burned PCB. I took out the main IC from there, and I will be trying to solder to the analog part. Let's say.
I see. So your project is kind of becoming. You are putting your project on the path of where the preamps would be on the audio interface, and then using the analog to digital converter from the audio interface.
Yes, yes. Everything looks like this right now. This small chip is how to say that? Translate. Responsible. Oh, I remember that word. Responsible for generating clocks, like all the main clocks of I2S protocol, and Raspberry Pi can see it, and it worked a couple days ago, but I'm not sure. This is like power source. I have bigger one, 24 volts, 2.5 amps power source, and then I have 3 smaller ones. First one is 12 volt, and these two is 5 volts power source. So 12 volts is for hard drive and would be for that Audient burned down board, and this two is one for Raspberry Pi, and this last one I don't know, for fans and some other stuff like LEDs, and maybe I would like to put something else there.
Is this a custom design?
These DC converters?
Yeah.
No, this is like ready modules from AliExpress from China, and the middle one for Raspberry Pi is hitting as hell, but it is still alive.
Nice. I know that buying these kinds of modules is sometimes hit and miss. How you're liking this?
Sorry, what is hit and miss?
Sometimes when you buy these things, these ready-made modules, some of them are good, some of them are bad. Are you liking this power source, this power supply?
Currently this, yes, I like it. They are adjustable. You can do, I don't know the lowest, but the highest is 24 volts, I assume, and like 5 amps, and this is overheading my project needs, so this one's fitting greatly. Yeah, but I'm not sure that I can design something like that.
Fair enough. I asked that because for the analog part of things, getting a clean power supply is a big deal.
Yeah, I agree, but most modern, like the same Audient audio interface using digital power sources.
Huh.
And I'm not sure how they cleaning the everything, all those noises out, but here it is. This is like schematics.
I think that it's powered by... it is powered by a 12-volt source? I thought it was just powered by the USB cable via that bus.
You can use both.
Ah.
Here is USB connection, like going through, I don't know what is this, some kind of transistor, maybe. But yeah, you can power from
that
a
might
USB.
be the regulator.
Or,
I think that's regulating or stabilizing the USB supply voltage.
yeah, maybe. But as you
Here
can
might
see, they have a lot of conductors on all the main power sources, like here. Okay, digital 3.3. There is as well, for example, on analog out power source, you as well have some conductors, or how they are called in English.
Inductors.
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 Exactly.
Yeah. That and bunch of capacitors around that probably cleaning all the noises here as well.
Exactly. It's to clean the noise and to protect the circuits.
Here as well. So I'm not sure that all those noises are like huge problem in.
That's something that I should look into. I should put the USB source, the power source, like from my computer into the oscilloscope and see how noisy it is, because my intuition tells me that it's probably not too noisy, I would think, especially when running out of the battery as opposed to plugging into the wall. Could be a fun little thing to do.
Usually the manufacturers sort of make headroom for poor power supplies of all sorts. So bad spikes going into the circuits and canceling noise coming out of it in order to have the rest of the circuit work properly. So it's kind of a belts and what's it, suspenders. No, suspenders and belts.
So when I was messing around with this circuit this time, I discovered that on the analog to digital, that this is outputs, digital to analog converter, audio mode pin is shorted to ground, like totally. And maybe this was the reason why my previous IC burned down, or it's supposed to be. I'm not sure, but maybe because I didn't configure all the IC's outputs properly. Maybe that was the second reason. Maybe everything together, and yeah.
Hang on, I don't get it. You're saying that the mute is shorted to ground, but in this diagram
Yes.
it doesn't seem to be?
Yes, that's the problem,
okay.
because this wire going straightly to the here it is to the main IC, and that's the problem. I can't understand, or the digital to analog converter is broken, or I'm doing something wrong. Until I solder this IC from the PCB, I can't understand what is wrong, but I can't solder it out because I don't have proper instrument, like soldering fan.
Is it surface mount?
Yes.
Yikes.
It is surface mount. Here is everything surface mount.
I figured, yeah.
Why do you want to desolder it? To troubleshoot it, or?
Yes, because right now I can't understand why this pin is shorted to the ground, or because of IC is broken, or because of I done something wrong and maybe these close to pins are soldered together. I don't have nor microscope nor soldering fan, nothing.
All right.
And that's the problem, basically. Because in my opinion, it shouldn't be. Okay, in datasheet, it is written that to work properly, mute pin should be tied to low voltage, like to ground.
Yeah.
But here is in this diagram there is no any resistor to ground or whatever. Yes, it is going directly to the main controller, and I'm not sure about this thing, so I will try to solder without this pin, and I will see
So
what
that other thing, is that a controller chip or?
this one big.
Yeah, exactly. That.
Yes, it is. Oh, I don't remember which one is that.
Is that thing getting instructions somewhere else so that it mutes so that it sort of grounds the audio mute?
When I was in Latvia, I took this thing off from the board.
Mm-hmm.
So that there is no this.
Oh, okay, I see.
So that is make this struggle. I don't remember how they are called.
Yeah, beats me. Sorry.
So yeah, somehow like that. Well, what else I can tell you guys? I don't know.
I'm happy that you are in the project again, because last time you were feeling a bit low. So I'm happy to hear your update.
Trying hard. At least I hope that ADC connector to IC will work properly, and maybe I have to change only this one, that it will be easy enough if it doesn't work.
Do you think you can find this chip to buy?
I think yes.
Oh, nice.
Have you found there's always this? Have you found any forums where people are using this board?
To be honest, I didn't search, so don't ask me.
Because that's always a good thing. Or maybe ChatGPT.
I discovered that ChatGPT is bad with circuits and.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sorry, my internet is really slow. Oh, he can't find. Why? Yeah, okay, there is no. I can show these sites, or I can't, Leandro.
What can you show or not?
Okay, can I show these web pages
Of
on
course.
the stream, or
Yeah.
Maybe I can't.
They're getting free advertisement, so yeah, sure. And it is fun to see where people source their parts from, because sourcing the parts is half the battle.
Just these two, as I know, is the biggest one in Europe.
Yeah.
Here it is, for example, Mauser.
I knew about Mauser, I
suggesting
didn't know about the other one.
So it's a Burr and Brown
€9.
product.
€6.
Not bad.
So I did a search for PCM 4104 and plus forum, and the first hit I get is vegalab.ru, so it's a Russian site, and I can't read Russian, so
I can read Russian.
yeah.
I'm surprised that they are using an off-the-shelf. I guess it kind of makes sense, but they're using an off-the-shelf analog to digital converter, and Audient prides themselves in like having the best
Burr and
or
Brown
lowest
is really,
noise.
that's really high quality stuff. Burr and Brown.
Yeah.
So
Because I typed right now PCM 4104 forum, and it is showing te.com and bunch of different non-Russian.
yeah, don't ask me why I get. It's a Google.
It's weird.
Search for Vegalab.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
All right. So I guess.
So yeah, this is probably all what I can say today. But I'm slowly getting forward. Basically.
Good.
Looking forward to hearing your update with the next meeting with things that haven't been burned.
I will try hard, I promise.
All right. Fotis, what do you have for us?
So yeah, let me share my screen. Actually, I want us to make. Let's make a JSFX together.
Let's.
But yes,
Awesome.
I wanted to do something with HISC. I upgraded everything, my Visual Studio, my HISC, my files, everything is working. That's my update for this thing. But yeah, but I haven't had the time to think about making anything new with HISC. I may go back to my synthesizer Wild at some point, and I'm considering releasing it, the whole thing on GitHub, the source code, the VST build. And if anyone wants to try their hand at making a Mac OS build, they're more than free to do so, because just a quick update on what's happening in HISC land. They are developing a new kind of backend that's called MIR, and I think that should help with building HISC on a Mac machine without needing Rosetta. I think that it's M1 compatible now. Let me show you the thread. Or is it MIR?
I have been out of the loop. I wonder how companies are doing with this whole M1 transition, because it has been 3 years, and I wonder if, I think it was Isotope and IK Multimedia and some of these companies that didn't have their stuff working. I wonder if they have managed to.
Yeah,
to
most
get
of
these
them
things to work
have.
now.
Most of them have done it these days. So yeah, as Christoph Hart, the creator of HISC, says, he's rewriting the SNEX compiler. Like you remember, SNEX is the script language for HISC. So yeah, he had to manually write the code generation logic for x86 CPUs, which is the reason why HISC needs to run on Rosetta and macOS. But the MIRJIT compiler project, SLEDS is the creator of Faust, by the way, is a bit more high level because it uses an intermediate language. So it allows me to ditch the entire HISC has to run in Rosetta in a macOS. So yeah, he's rewriting the whole backend from scratch. I think he finished most of it. Let's see. I'm gonna show you the commits. The latest commit was 2 days ago, but like I said, I like to actually compile not the ultra latest nightly, but the one that has the green tick symbol on GitHub. This one. The checks. So I built this one from 5 days ago because I want to be safe. But yeah, he's still working on the MIR backend, so I'll get back to you on that. Now, are you ready for some JSFX fun?
I was born ready. Let's talk about it.
Yes. So yeah, these are ports of the Airwindows plugins in JSFX. Actually, there was another guy on the Airwindows Facebook group that renamed the entire JSFX ports by hand, because he was CH Maha, the person who ported the Airwindows effects to JSFX, was using his own weird names, not the actual Airwindows filter names. And this other guy renamed them to match the actual Airwindows names. So for example, compress saturator, which is the actual name of the Airwindows plugin. The JSFX was called Clippy Squish. And you had to go here and look at the code to see that it's the compress saturator. So this other guy renamed those, and he solved a lot of problems. Now, what I want to make. So this is a port of channel strip 2. You have an equalizer, another equalizer this peaks, which is the frequency chosen by the equalizers above. Cap stands for capacitor, which it's an ultra steep low pass and high pass filter. If you do it like this, then you have a completely silent audio. And this is a compressor, and I think this is the attack and release at the same time. Now this is what I want us to work on. This is the final output stage, which has 2 stages of saturation. One of them, I'm gonna show it on the website as well. Have I told you about the 5 distortion algorithms that Chris has created? He has used them on several of his plugins, including Focus, which is one of the best Airwindows plugins, in my opinion.
Are they wave shapers or?
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah. They're wave shaper. So density and spiral are more or less the same, but density is a bit smoother, I think. Drive is the oldest distortion algorithm which Chris wrote, so it suffers from a lot of aliasing, but he's still using it from time to time. And Mojo and Dino are his most interesting ones. Mojo, I've used it in a lot of my tracks actually, because it's wave shaping in a way that feels like it's not, let's just say it's a saturation, but not of the very dirty variety, but not of the more loudinating big variety. Like, I mean, it adds such a weight to the sound that it's amazing. And Dino is the opposite of that, because it adds more dynamics. It makes some excitement on the higher frequency stuff. And the more dynamic stuff, it makes it even more dynamic. Like an upwards compressor sort of thing. Now, as for C-Strip 2, which is a very recent plugin, the output stage here is divided in 3 parts. 0 to 0.33 is no saturation. 0 to 0.66 is spiral. And yes. And then the rest is density. So the more you push into the saturation, the more you get into kicking one of the distortion algorithms. If you remember, Bo, Chris had done the same thing in channel 9. Remember that?
Ooh, I'm afraid not, no.
It's the same thing, because if you push it in the 1/3, it's no saturation. Here it's spiral, and here it's density.
And
Is it change in the?
Go ahead.
Sorry, is it change in the algorithm when you're changing the slider, varying the slider?
Yeah, we're gonna actually see how it works here, because
cool.
hey, it's JSFX. Now, what I want you guys to help me do is we're gonna figure out in this thing right here. This is the only thing I want to change. So we're gonna take a look at the code. This is probably at the end, I guess. We're gonna find it. If you want, I can send you guys the JSFX file so you can edit with me, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
That is online,
Okay.
right? Okay, sure.
So what I want to do is the 1/3, the 1/3 that goes into spiral. I want it unchanged, but the 2/3 to 1 I want to replace the density algorithm with the mojo algorithm. So since we have the same code here, it should be just a matter of copy-paste, right? But I want to know exactly what I'm gonna copy-pasting.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Is it mixing between the two and sort of doing fades between?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to search the exact place. Oh, I think this is it. Density A, no. Let's search for the word spiral. Nope, there is no such thing. But the output, oh. I think this is from the original Chris code, but he calls it fatity. So I guess these things are the ones. So nodal saturation algorithm A and saturation algorithm B, I want to say. Or maybe we could find, there it is. Can we see what this slider is altering in the code?
Yeah, that's a good start.
Yes. You can search for slider 10 in the
Slider
source
10.
code.
Yes. Oh, there it is, the fatity. We were looking at the right thing. So then output gain is 1. Density lower than 0. How does it this? Oh, that's the code that divides it by 3, but this is a multiplication.
True. What it is doing, this code is written in an interesting way. Because the slider goes from 0 to 1, I guess. So it's multiplying by 3, and then it is subtracting 1 twice. It's subtracting 1 in the next line, and then it's subtracting 1 2 lines below that.
Should I take a look at the original source code to verify that the same thing is happening there?
Let's trust that this has been translated correctly, because it is doing the right thing, just in an interesting way. Because you see, a number goes between 0 and 1. You multiply it by 3, it goes between 0 and 3. Then you subtract 1, you will get a number between -1 and 2, right? So if, and we call this number, it goes between -1 and 2, we call it density. And if it is less than 0, then we cap it to 0. We are not doing any distortion with the density algorithm. Then we take the density variable and we subtract 1 again. So it was a number that used to be between -1 and 2, but we kept it to be between 0 and 2. So now that we subtracted 1 again, fatity is between -1 and 1. And then we check if it's, greater than 1. That doesn't make sense. Oh, it's looking at the density variable, not at the fatity variable. So density is still between 0 and 2. And we are capping the density to go between 0 and 1. Because if it's greater than 1, we cap it to be 1. And fatity, if it is below 0, we cap it to be 0. So fatity was going between -1 and 1. It now goes between 0 and 1. In the end of the day, what this is going to accomplish is exactly what it described. Output gain is going to be between 0 and 3, so when applying it, we have to keep that in mind. Density is going to be between 0 and 1, and fatity is going to be between 0 and 1. And they are going to be in those ranges of the slider that you explained, fatity being the last one, which is the one we want to change. So we want to track uses of the fatity variable.
I'm gonna search. First of all, can you remind me how to create a duplicate file for a backup?
Yeah, go there, right click and duplicate.
All right.
And let's call it C strip Mojo. I'm gonna change that later, but anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna search for the word fatity, right?
Yeah, and I just want to point out that sliders 4 and 5 are using the new JSFX feature that allow the slider to be logarithmic instead of linear. Fun stuff.
Oh, that was really so. JSFX is still being updated.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So now sliders can be logarithmic, which is a lot of fun because most effects these days, like the fancy Toucan Studio effects, they have their own user interface. But effects that use the default sliders, the ones rendered by default in Reaper, they have to work around the old ones had to work around the limitations of the sliders that were only linear. So there are all these hacks, like a slider go between 0 and 1, and then you do a computation to come up with a logarithmic scale, and you display the actual frequency somewhere in the graphical user interface, or something like that. But now we have real logarithmic sliders, which is a lot of fun.
Amazing. By the way, John, if you're listening, John of Toucan, I have to say that the equalizer that you made, the EQ Toucan, is amazing. It's one of the best Poltec emulations I have ever heard, and one of the most beautiful looking ones too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And John didn't know about this update in JSFX, so I guess it kind of makes sense because in your plugins, if I remember correctly, you are supporting older versions of Reaper. You don't want to be using the latest features, but if you are willing to drop support for older versions of Reaper, yes, it is. I guess it's 1 or 2 months old, this feature. And it's nice that this port is already using this. Anyhow, fatity. If it is greater than 0, we want to apply this fatity thing. And that seems to be not these lines, but the ones below. Yeah, those lines seem to be the application of this algorithm. So
we're gonna look at these variables.
Yeah, we need to know where these come from.
Let's go back. We need to go back. Oh, there it is.
Okay. They are relatively straightforward, and in the interest of keeping things simple, we can even leave the variable names and whatnot in the hopes that Mojo implements things in a relatively similar way. So let's look at the implementation of Mojo.
Let's go. So I hope he has them named.
Yes, we saw that.
Oh.
When you're scrolling by.
All right. There it is.
Yeah, not bad. So it is similar in the sense that in the other algorithm, the fatity variable was using a sign, while Mojo is using power and absolute and whatnot, but it is similar in the sense that it is computing something based on the input samples and then using that in a formula. So there are 2 steps. First, compute a constant and then use that constant in a longer formula. So how about we do this? How about we copy this, maybe a whole snippet, and let's paste it in the other code base for reference. And let's go to the lines that we were looking at before, the ones that use sign. Yes, that.
These ones.
And paste the code there somewhere just so we have it for reference, but we don't want to actually run this code. So can you comment all this section out?
Is it 2 slashes?
No, it is /* to begin with at the top. And then at the bottom, it's Asterisk slash. Perfect. So
Awesome.
now we know that instead of sign of input sample L, blah, 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 instead of that part, copy and paste the part that reads like PAL or power off on the first
That
line.
one.
Yes, that. And conveniently, it is using the same variable name, so we can just copy and paste that. And for completeness, let's do the same for the right channel. Except, yeah, that. So now, let's take this snippet that we have and bring it down. Because now we are going to look at the part where fat sample L and R are actually used.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's already right there. It wasn't that far. And there, what we do is the second line of this snippet is the formula. It starts with open parens, scene, and blah, blah, blah. So let's copy just the part that is after the equal sign. That. Because that's the formula, right? Yeah. And let's paste that where we currently see input sample L equal sign and so on. And that is way below, like it's the second to last line in this section of code. Yes, there.
Oh, okay.
And then we replace this with that. And where we see the mojo variable, we are using the old name. So it's fat sample L instead of mojo in this line.
Okay.
In the line that I have just pasted, yeah. And there is another occurrence of mojo to the left. You haven't replaced both occurrences yet.
Oops, yeah.
That one. Nope. Nope. Undo, undo, undo. You want to copy fat sample L and paste in place of mojo.
Oh, okay.
That. Correct. And strictly speaking, what you wrote is right because JSFX is case insensitive. But for the sake of readability, let's make this S capital S because it is how we defined it above. And that should do it. How can you tell if it works? Do you recognize the distortion by ear or do you have some sort of test signal?
But we can also try our friend EQ curve analyzer because
no, that is for linear signals and this is a distortion. It's non-linear.
Yeah, but it's yeah, you're right. Anyway, I can try one of my own songs, which are copyright free.
An oscilloscope and
an oscilloscope. Yeah, that could also work.
Yeah, if you can recognize the distortion by looking at the waveforms, then all the
Or we can
better.
simply compare it with the actual Mojo plugin, not the Focus.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, we have the Leandro fucking H oscilloscope. Yay.
Yes.
So let's disable those. I love this feature. You can float any plugin. So the thing is that Mojo already does something to the signal, even if you haven't touched the fader. How can we see that? I always should put something through it, right?
Yeah,
like a sine.
Like a sine wave.
But first, let's mute it with the trusty Leah fuck mute. I keep promoting your stuff. Why not? They're the easiest to use. And you have created a great library. And I love them.
Search for tone instead of
Oh yeah,
sine.
tone generator, yeah. Imagine if you could, if future implementations of a JSFX, you could add keywords, like so you can look up plugins.
People
could
do
have
that by
the
putting
same-
names in parentheses. Like I put tone generator in parentheses,
Oh, yeah.
LFO in parentheses.
That's
I just didn't think of sine.
Oh yeah, because you have multiple waveforms.
True.
Anyway, so this is a sine wave. And what's this? The oscilloscope?
That is currently floating. It is the
Oh, yeah.
oscilloscope.
And this is the mute function. Okay. So we're gonna put the mojo directly after.
And it
And
gets
on the
louder.
right, it gets louder, and then boom.
It gets really loud. But I guess perhaps my oscilloscope is not the best to see this. Perhaps you would want to go with a stock oscilloscope because it has triggers. And then you can
Okay.
trigger on the rise of the waveform.
This one.
Yes, that
The
one.
bit rate.
No, that one, the stock
Okay.
one, not with bit retrigger. Because
Okay.
we don't have anything on the beat anyway. And then
Mhm.
where it says retrig instant above, right
Mhm.
at the top, change that to one more, ascend. There you go. So now the waveform is only redrawing when it is ascending. So it's
Okay.
stationary on the screen.
But
It's still
sweet.
listening in real time, so it's responding to distortion. So
Nice.
as we, and perhaps you would like to like zoom in horizontally so we can see the shape change.
Like this.
Yeah, now that's awesome. So we can really see the shape of the distortion.
So this is a mojo. Now let's compare it with Spiral from Airwindows, and let's boost it. You can see. Oh yeah, we can see things more clearly. Without it,
I
Well,
can
it's-
clearly now. That's
I wish it wasn't adding any gain because it's hard to tell the shapes apart.
yeah, that's true.
So perhaps let's put a volume knob in between to try and compensate for the changes in amplitude.
Did you know that Airwindows has made a great gain plugin? So yeah, this is Spiral.
And then
Okay, so
ideally
this-
you would bypass and unbypass the purest gain along with the distortion simultaneously.
Yeah, but we can't do that.
Of course you can.
No.
Just select both
Oh.
plugins and then Control B
Oh,
stands for bypass.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there are several keyboard shortcuts for this thing, for this list of effects that are not documented anywhere that I know of. I learned this from like someone taught me that this worked. I don't
Wow.
I don't remember how I learned this, but yeah, you can
Whoa.
also if you hit just A, you go to the Add Effect window.
Oh, that's another thing I didn't know. Thank you.
It is useful. All right. So can you like adjust the knobs so that we can see the distortion without any amplitude change?
It's probably around here. Oh, it should be touching those. This -6. So let's bring it to -6, like this.
And select
so-
Spyro as well, and then it's going to toggle all three of them at once, I think.
Uh-huh.
No, it turns all of them on. Okay. That's an I. Oh, it's too
Do they
similar.
look similar? It's too similar, yeah. I guess I'll just have to trust my ears on that one.
Fair enough.
But can I try one of my songs?
of course.
Oh wait, I have a chat. Oh, Bo posted. Oh yeah, something that Cwits asked for. This is a soundscape that I generated. It's a cardinal, I think.
I really wish that the gain was decoupled from the distortion.
Mhm.
It would help use the distortion better. Anyway,
Yeah, it's like what White Sea Studio says all the time about gain plugins.
I'm a believer. Yeah, I'm a believer.
What is this thing? This ambience. Okay, that's safe enough. So that's just some random modular synths in Cardinal, which I then distorted with several reverbs, including ones by Psyche. Thank you, Psyche. So we can compare. Oh, I had another idea. We can actually duplicate those and do a null test. Let's compare the distortion of the original strip with the one we made today. Sound good?
Of course. You gotta love distortion algorithms. They can get complicated, but I mean, the one we were using were 2 lines of code, and only because, for whatever reason, they decided to extract a variable. Oh, because it was used in 2 places, so you didn't have to do the computation twice. That's why it extracted a variable. But in any case, it's 2 lines of code. Compare that to anything else. Like, you gotta love this non-linear algorithms because they don't have to, like in an equalizer, you need to store previous samples. In reverbs, God help you. And with distortion, you just write an expression, like a mathematical formula, and that's it. You gotta love distortion. So easy.
And also I remember a great plugin by Chris called Curve, which is literally a compressor with 1 line of code. You should check that out. Anyway. Oh, guys, I think we did it. We did it, guys.
Awesome.
If I put back the original, it should null to 0, right? Yeah, it's nulling. We did it, guys.
Hey.
So what we just did was create the biggest, loudest, one most awesome free open source channel strip plugin ever made. Oh my god, it's so loud. I love it.
It's loud.
So, Fotis, if you go into the code again, and the line where the mojo was, there was a number 0.9 something. Yeah, at the end of it.
Yes.
Yeah, replace that with a slider that goes from like negative -0.2 to positive 0.2 something.
Oh, with a parenthesis.
Just not create a slider like slider. What was slider 11 something? What's the line?
Yes.
And make it go from so starting with 0.9, the default, and then make it go from negative 0. Hang on about. Just go for 5, and then positive 0.5, and in 0.01 increments.
Oh, okay.
And name it Mojo Adjust.
Oh, yeah. So we can only. It's like a granular slider. We can only choose how much mojo it gets.
It is weird that the default value is not in the allowed range. What's up with that?
Oh, what happened here?
Oh,
is this an error?
No, it's not an error. You see, for whatever reason, the syntax highlighter in the IDE doesn't know the new syntax. Because this logarithm thing is new, so it's marking that as a syntax error, but it's not. It's just newer syntax. But what's up with... I'm not sure I'm following what you're going to do with this yet, but it is weird to me that 0.9 is not in between minus 0.5 and 0.5. So that seems odd to me. Either the range is wrong or the default value is wrong.
Yeah, that's my thinking. My brain is fried. No, you're supposed to go from like 0.5 to 1.5. Sorry.
Oh, like this?
No, sorry. Not minus, not negative 0.5, positive 0.5 to 1.5.
Oh, okay, like this.
Yeah. Good thing you pointed that out, Leandro. And then you replace the value
That
with
thing. Slider 11.
Yeah.
I just was curious about what would happen if value would be off slider, so I keep silent.
Yeah, me too. I don't see Bo's evil plan. He's an evil genius.
Are you saying that you don't know what happens when you have that situation where the default value is outside the allowed range?
Yes.
What's going to happen is by default the plugin is going to load with 0.9, but then as soon as you touch the slider, you are only allowed to slide between minus 0.5 and 0.5. So you're only allowed to slide within the range. But the thing about JSFX is that besides the slider, it's also going to show you the number, and you can type any number you want in there, even numbers outside the range.
That's one more reason to use Airwindows JSFX instead of the C++ ones. You can, haha, look at that. You can't do that with VST. You can't do that with VST. You can't.
Cool. So test the sound now and let's see what happens.
And because it was a new slider, the value just loaded as 0 because it was a new slider and the plugin wasn't really fully reloaded. It was hot reloaded from the previous version. So the value 0 is outside the range to kind of showcase my point.
Okay, now it's fixed. So first let's slam it. Whoa! Sorry, guys, I should pad the output a bit more. Like this, okay. Oh, I see.
You're changing the character of the algorithm. So you're changing.
Oh my god!
You're not changing the character of the algorithm. You're literally just changing the volume because it was a factor that was multiplied by the whole equation. So that number, that magic number there, I don't know the significance of it, but it was probably adjusted by ear to get you some good loudness range. And what we are doing is just tweaking the loudness. So when you push this up and you get into the distortion, you're probably just getting digital distortion.
But it still sounds okay. I can still change it back.
I dabbled with the Mojo algorithm or formula like a couple of years ago, and I added a slider. It was so long ago, I don't remember exactly what I did, but I think that's what I did.
Yeah, let's look at the code to see if maybe I
misunderstanding something. I double checked it in Desmos as well.
What if I just take this value and place it here?
Yeah, fair enough.
Would that work?
Your copy paste went wrong there. You have 0 points there.
Yeah.
But fair enough. But let's go to the. Can you scroll down to the equation again in the plugin that we have been editing?
Oh, okay.
I just want to make sure that I am not misunderstanding something.
I may be wrong. I'm usually wrong.
I am not misunderstanding anything. Yeah, this slider 11 is just multiplied by the rest of the equation, so you can treat it as a gain knob.
So you're pushing audio into the effect.
Yeah, you're essentially just applying distortion and then clean gain.
I don't know. I like it. I think I'm gonna keep it.
Fair enough. As I said, I kind of like the fact that now you have a gain knob because you can try and compensate for the loudness introduced by the distortion.
It might have been the pi times .5 that I changed. What I did was I created put the formula in Desmos and watch the curve change with different values.
Oh yeah.
That's what I did.
Well,
to sort of-
absolutely. If you change anything inside the computation of the sign, you are changing something about the distortion. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So that it might have been that value that I was changing. But if you want to sort of experiment Fotis, you can punch that formula into Desmos and watch the curve and sort of the wave shaper change. That's always fun. And then you can check some other wave shapers. Like the
By the
spiral.
way, did you guys check out my shirt?
Your shirt. Let's see it.
Can you see it?
No.
It's Among Us. Anyway,
Cool.
I am a JSFXer Among Us. People in this island don't know that there is a JSFX coder working among them. That's me. Anyway, for next time, I had an idea. So, are you guys familiar with this monstrous, amazing JSFX plugin by Psyche? It's called Filter, and it's a wave shaper that has tons of features like spline-based wave shapers. How do you create? Oh yeah, you create nodes with the. You can select an age and stuff, but the gist of it, the one that I want to work with, is this filter bank. So Psyche, being so awesome, he actually created descriptions for all of this down here.
Oh
So you can
my
actually
god! Can we
read.
take a moment to appreciate that he implemented like a different panes and a scroll bar in JSFX?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is bonkers.
And also you have two different filter banks, so you can actually read. Oh no, I thought you could. Oh yeah, you can actually read both of those descriptions. So how cool is that?
Amazing.
Yeah. JSFX, Psyche has nailed JSFX. Now what I want to do for next time, I guess that the code is bigger than a novel. Oh my god, look at that. And I'm guessing it has dependencies, right? Like external files.
Probably.
But what I want to do, I want to use these filters outside of Filter.
Probably some of the
Just take
imports
the
are
code.
implementations of the filters.
Yeah, so if we could, for next time, if we could create a simple JSFX plugin that all it does is has a gain knob and one of those filter banks selectable and the cutoff and resonance, just those things. If we could create a filter light, if you will. Because sometimes I like to keep things simple with no GUI, just a few sliders. I don't know.
Sure.
So
That's
does it sound
also,
good?
remember the guy that I posted on Discord that had a great, I think it was SSEB something. He talked
yeah.
a bit about distortion and how different distortion sounds and EQing, so asymmetrics and EQing before and after and stuff like that. Also, Geraint, what's his last name?
Geraint Love.
Luff, yeah. He did a talk on ADC, Audio Developers Conference, you know, this JUCE channel, where he also talked about distortions and pitch shifting, which was cool.
Yeah, he has created a lot of nice distortion, including the sandwich amp distortion.
Did you watch the talk, Bo? Because I saw it on my feed, but I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's
Nice.
really interesting.
So yeah, this is what I want to make for the last time, just find where these things are. Maybe we could also implement the descriptions. I don't know. Is there a feature to create like a simple text box that
Well,
writes
kind
the
of. You can
description?
use the very simple primitives in the JSFX area of the code.
Oh yeah.
But there is also this debug string thing that you can try and hack as a way to describe things. Yeah.
Also, I wanted, before I end my segment, I wanted to showcase a few nice stuff that I found on the Caucus forum. One is by Psyche, but it's not as well known. It's not in Repack, actually. You have to get it from his GitHub. And it's a completely modular interface to load your own plugins. Yes. And I think if you do, yeah, you have bespoke synth inside of Reaper now. And there is a keystroke. What was it? Hang on, I'm gonna see it on GitHub if you're okay with that. But there is an option to just, these are all presets that Psyche himself made for his own benefit. But you can actually load your own stuff in here. You just have to press the correct keystroke.
Is it a set of presets, or are all these effects included in the?
No, these are not included, but he has created a few presets. I think Psyche owns this stuff. But in case you don't, let's go to Hacky. Oh, I only have start Hacky Tracky. Why? Let's fix that. I'm gonna debug my own GitHub. So, Hacky Machines, that's the one. Why didn't I start it? There you go. I fixed the bug. So this it also has a dark theme. I don't remember how you turned that on, but or is it? Oh, these are, oh my god, complete documentation with all the shortcuts. Am I dreaming? How do you load those things? No. Oh, F10. I think it's F10. Nope. I'm gonna find it.
And how is this going to be implemented? Is it going to be like a bunch of VSTs loaded into the track and very smart routing between channels?
This can actually be used as an alternative to the Reaper routing matrix. Because if you create, okay, let's just use the default stuff. I think I have, like the shimmer reverb. It's gonna use a few stock plugins. And boom, it just created some new tracks.
I see.
So you can actually, and you have some handy buttons here. You can adjust the panning, delays. You have a solo and mute and stuff. And if you double click, you can look at the effects. So you can use this like a bespoke synth, like an alternative. And if it corresponds to the tracks that you select in the mixer. So that's another cool thing.
That's cute.
So it created, it loaded the effects when you created the, oh wow.
Yeah, it was in the preset. I think that it's using the default. But what is this? I wanted to, have you seen this thing before, those red ribbons? Is this a volume dependent on something else? I haven't seen this feature before.
Is this like that special kind of panning where you see the volume of the left and right channels independently?
Let's use the default theme. Is that the one?
That's a panning.
Oh.
Isn't it?
No, that's the volume knob.
Okay.
Maybe it's what Leandro said. You can adjust the things.
Right click on the volume knob.
And that's what I get.
Oh, I see.
Is it the weight knob? No. Never seen that.
Mine Reaper doesn't look like that.
Oh, is it because it's automated or something?
Or maybe it's
Why don't you have a regular volume slider? Did you pick a default theme?
This is the default theme. I just switched it. This is the theme that I usually use is the Jim's edit of Inquasar.
All right.
But yeah, you can see this. I just wanted to see if it looks the same. But here you can see the mix area that we also get those things on the top and the bottom. Oh!
It's snapping back.
They're linked. They're linked.
Ah, I see.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
How do you do that? How do you link those?
I didn't.
Is that a array function or whatever it's called?
I think I've seen a
VCA?
tutorial on how to do it. Was it
Okay.
Kenny Joya who showed it?
Oh yeah, okay, I'll look it up. It's not terribly important. The other thing I wanted to show, it's by Bird. You may have seen this person if you're, for those of you watching who are using Ableton, Bird is also making some awesome Max for Live plugins. But he recently made an amazing stem manager, but where is it? Oh no, that wasn't Bird, it was Audient. So you have DRM GUI again, but look at that. Reaper just got another amazing feature. You can actually, I've said actually a lot of times, you can create your own settings, you can create your own stems, you can create actions, and you can automate basically everything. This should be very handy for mixing and mastering engineers. But what did Bird make that I was very impressed by? The FX Mangler. Oh yeah, look at that, it's got animations and everything. And the last thing I wanted to show is that Bird has made a compressor in JSFX. It's called Very Important Compressor. So it has one knob, and when you compress, haha, you got rickrolled.
Oh.
Never gonna let you down. Okay, so that was my update.
I love it. Awesome.
By the way, that JSFX is triggering an OGG sample, OGG, if you remember OGG.
Yeah.
And that file is called veryimportantfile.og.
You can
So
trigger media files from JSFX?
That's another thing you didn't know.
How do you do that?
Should I show the code? Are you interested?
Yeah, of course. I didn't even know it was possible. I knew it was possible to load WAV files, but like, first of all, WAV files, not compressed files. And also, they were like relatively short files, like impulse responses, not whole songs.
Okay, so I have shown a lot of peculiar codes in all those streams, right? Like Faust or C Sound.
Yeah, you are the librarian of the audio community.
So let's go to the very important compressor. I'm not gonna touch the knob. Don't worry. So we have, sorry. Oh, is it storing the file to memory? Maxmem? No.
It is.
It has the RIFF.
I didn't even know you could load the file as a string. I thought you had to declare it before the init section, but okay. And
this is the knob, I guess. I'm gonna leave it like this.
So it's loading the whole file up front, So far, so good. Let's scroll down. Okay, this is just
play file.
Yeah.
It's buffering the file.
Interesting. So what's happening is when Reaper is loading that file, it is decoding the OGG file, I think. Because what this code is doing is just going through the buffer and playing.
So it's feeding it to Reaper itself.
Yeah, so Reaper somehow is parsing that OGG file. Interesting. Oh well.
I think there was I was loading some JSFX from the Reaper stash. Some of them are horribly outdated, and one of them was using a feature that was removed from later Reaper installs, and it was. Hang on, I'm gonna find it. It was called buff save. And I had to actually download an older Reaper version just to get that file and place it in the effects/utility. And this is what it does. Is it similar to what we're looking at here? You're loading buffers. I don't know.
Kind of. This to me seems like it is...
Buffer receiver.
It is like a recorder. You just start recording into this chunk of memory and you can read from this chunk of memory. And that's okay. That's what we do like with delays and echoes. It is a circular buffer. But what is surprising to me is that this file open function seems to be doing magic, or even this file RIFF function is doing magic. That's what it is. This is doing some magic that I didn't know existed.
Oh, there are some comments here. Right? Or file RIFF. Oh.
Yeah.
Can we read the whole thing? If the media was a media file, a number of channels and sample rate will be set in Reaper 6.9. I don't know how to read.
Is this documented anywhere? Let's Google. You all don't see this on Skype, but people on the stream see this, because I'm now looking up the JSFX documentation. File I/O and serialization. File RI. Yeah, it is documented.
Did you say that the latest JSFX documentation is not in the official site? No, it is.
It is. It's very much so.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it is not a new function. It has been around since Reaper 6.29. So it has been around for a while, and I have never heard of this before. Cool stuff. See, even in the jokes, we learned something.
And is this file avail handle returns items remaining in file if handled in read mode, or less than 0 if in write mode? So you can actually you can actually use this variable to write WAV files.
I see.
Could it be possible to put it in write mode?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay.
So yeah, you can actually render stuff via JSFX. That would be amazing if you think about it.
Yeah, and Dale is telling us here on the chat that this function has existed for much longer, and it has been updated in version 6.29. So perhaps it was like updated to add more file types or something like that. Good to know. Creative use of this, and I don't think I have seen this anywhere else. So fun stuff.
Sweet. And maybe John from Toucan can utilize this function either for impulse responses or for other cool sound effect stuff that you can, I don't know. For example, maybe John could use files of waveforms to use them as envelope followers for his effects. I'm just brainstorming. I've seen that function in Ableton before.
I see.
And I now understand why Tail is calling JSFX JSFX. He says it like that because it's Yesosonic, but I now know it's because it's yay. It's yay SFX. It's beautiful. So that was my update.
Cool.
Oh, and by the way, I have blurred my background for the first time because my room is too messy.
My background is much more interesting. Like I have a proper camera on the background.
Oh,
Why don't I use it? I will in the near future. Right. And Tail is asking you, Fotis, have you ever looked at Super 8?
I haven't actually. I really need to check that, but I keep forgetting about it. Is that a looper?
It is a looper.
Or it is a looper, yeah. I think I have seen a video of Justin Frankel using it or live looping it. It should be cool. Also, there is a Reaper extension that you can buy. It's called Playdate, I think, and it's a recreation of the Ableton session view.
True. Created by Helgo, I
Extreme
think.
Rain. Yeah, I think Helgo made it.
Yeah. He was
And Extreme Rain.
He was a guest before. We talked about Rust.
Oh yeah, and also Extreme Rain has created an amazing modification of Reaper called Retab Hero that works like Guitar Hero and allows you to see the tablatures like colors.
Fun.
But you can actually play an actual guitar with it, not a controller.
Yeah, Tail is saying that Super 8 can record audio in JSFX and then add the audio snippet as an item in the Reaper project.
Oh, is that how the JSFX granular synths work, like the Amaranth by Psyche? I think it's Star stuff. Oh, wait, no. There was another amazing JSFX by Psyche that's called Bric-a-Brac. That has 4 sample slots. You can load your own sample and you can use it to be triggered by the incoming audio. So you can, if you have, for example, a track that's with snare drums only, and you want to make them, to accentuate them, you can use Bric-a-Brac to load a short snippet of white noise, and then Bric-a-Brac is gonna gate the sample so it only sounds when the snare is hit. So you can accentuate the snares with noise.
Or
Clever.
you can load the sample of a snare and you can put your microphone like on your desk and you can tap a rhythm.
Yeah. Speaking of that, did you guys check out one of Chris' latest plugins, Orbit Kick? It allows you to resynthesize audio, and you can turn everything into a kick drum. He has done another one in the past called Electro Hat, which allowed you to turn any audio into a hi-hat. And now we also have a kick.
Nice.
And I'm gonna do what you just said about the tapping and turning it into a snare, because I have been experimenting with Neutone, which is a plugin, a free plugin in beta testing, which is using machine learning to convert an instrument into another instrument. You have seen that thing that Google Magenta did, that online feature that you could record your voice and to turn it into a violin. This is an extension of that. It's using the same models, but also some new ones that they're creating. And it's very buggy and it's very processor intensive, but it's going very well so far. And those ambient things that I played you before, I put them in that thing with an AI model of a Bulgarian female choir. And I'm telling you, turning a synth pad into a choir is just out of this world. You gotta check it out in the future.
I tried the Magenta, but it was really buggy. Just that was a couple of years ago when it came out, all right?
Yeah, they also made the VST, which is even more buggier, if you can believe it.
Is it polyphonic?
No, but Neutone is working on doing things polyphonic.
Okay.
It's not completely perfect, and it actually tells you which plugins can take mono or stereo input and output, simple, just like Faust.
Okay. It's a really interesting technique, just to load a melody or any audio and then have it translated into something completely different.
Yeah, and this is how you do those AI vocal covers that you can make yourself sound like a different singer. I am going to experiment with those, but for fun purposes. I'm not going to actually rip off an artist or anything. I don't want to get sued. I just want to make fun stuff for my friends. Because nowadays YouTube has been taking down those AI covers. Because they have copyrighted the artists' voices, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
And the only person so far who is okay with that is that singer called Grimes, Elon Musk's ex-wife. She's very cool with that, and she's actually allowing people to copy her own voice. And she can receive royalties with that. She has created an app and everything. She has uploaded her own model. And also another singer called Holly Herndon has created an online app called Holly Plus. You can check it out on www.holly.plus. And you can upload some short MP3s or WAV files. And then you can take them back processed with Holly's voice, like that choir thing I said earlier. So this technology has actually been existing for a while. And
next time, Fotis, you should do a demo of that for us.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it. And also, maybe I would love to pressure Christoph of HIC into implementing a JSFX loader. That would be a dream for us, right?
Yeah.
So Christoph, if you're watching, or David, I could pressure David Haley. I'm a Patreon supporter, so yeah, I have the word. I can tell you. Please, David. Please, Christoph.
Awesome.
Okay, that's it.
All right, with that, my update is that I have not been doing any C++.
Oh,
okay.
So, how about we call it a day?
Oh,
Sure.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us.
You've been doing long walks. Maybe
I
you should
have
tell
been doing a long walk.
Yeah.
Yes. So if people are interested in long walks, I have done 250 kilometers in 8 days. And
Oh my God.
it was so much fun. The Camino de Santiago, in case people have heard of this. And it is a lovely experience. Many great people along the way, and it is beautiful. And highly recommend it to anyone. I am into this sort of thing, like running marathons and long bike rides, and it is the first time that I actually traveled somewhere. So I was walking for 8 days straight.
Wow.
It was awesome. But it took me some 8 days to do. So dash and work and other things means that I didn't do much C++. But hey, it was awesome to hear from you all. And I look forward to hearing it from you all again in 2 weeks. So thank you, Fotis, Cwits, Bo, for joining me here on this meeting. And thank you to...
And this long walk that you did was good for your brain. You rebooted your brain, and now you're fresher to do some more awesome code stuff.
That is true, yes. I was getting a bit... it is strange, because my whole life I have always... programming was a major part of my life. I started programming when I was 12 or 13, and I started doing it professionally when I was 15. My first job as a programmer was when I was 15, and I have never stopped. I have always worked with programming, and I have always had my personal projects, the live streams, and other things going on. And this year, I was like, I'm still happy to do the work, but on my side projects, they have been on the sidelines. They have not been seeing a lot of action. And this time off and other things that are going on are like making me want to get back to the projects. So I'm looking forward to getting back to them. And it's always interesting to see where you left off. And I always leave lots of notes so I know what I need to do next. But it's going to be fun to get back.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So with that, let's say thank you to people who are here on the chat. I really appreciate you being here. Tail and Nod was one, and John and everyone else who is watching this. It is always great to have you, and I see you next time. And
please support Leandro by Patreon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or PayPal.
Yeah.
And remember, plugin developers, we are among you.
Alrighty. See you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching the stream. You know how great it has been. Or maybe it sucked, and I am glad that you stuck with me. And soon we'll all be back together for some more coding or talking or chilling. The next time I'll be streaming.